realization of the self is the ultimate goal of every born human individual. There must be a method for it. So in the entire Indian scriptures, three things are considered by great acharyas like Shankaracharya, Ramanuja and Madhva, the prasthanas. Number one, Upanishads. There are 10 of them. Major Upanishads on which Shankaracharya wrote Bhashyas. Their names are also significant, so I named them. First one happens to be Ishavasya. Beautiful name, you see. Everything is covered with God. Name of the Upanishad itself is grand. Isha, first Upanishad. Then Kena. Look, Kena means from whom? Look, what a beautiful question. From whom this world arose? When did it arise? How long it's going to stay? What is the I in me which I call I? Where was it before it came to this life? Such wonderful questions about the life are asked in the Upanishad, Kena. The third one happens to be the Katha Upanishad. A wonderful Upanishad, something like Bhagavad Gita. You may be surprised to know, Nachiketa is a small boy of 7. His father was conducting a great yaga, yajna. In that yajna, he would give everything that he had to people who need it. When Nachiketa was observing his father conducting yajna, Shraddha entered him. Look here, there is a beautiful word. In Bhagavad Gita also it says, Shraddhavan lavate jnanam tatparaha samyatendriyaha. He has got Shraddha, will attain jnana. And also he must have some indriya nigrahas. So control over the senses is indriya nigrahas. So Shraddha entered this small fellow. He was watching his father giving cows which were not yielding, useless cows. Some of them were so old that they would not live long. When such people such things are given in operation, as a dan, as a presentation, that would take a man to the Naraka, the hell. So he came to his father, as Shraddha had entered him, asked him, Father, who are you going to give me? When children talk, we neglect them. Usually we do, because they don't understand word, we think as much as we do. So he neglected the son first. Again repeated the question, Father, whom are you going to give me? Even then he did not answer, he brushed aside the boy and went on doing his giving her things. Third time he asked, who are you going to give me to? Then he said, I am going to give you to Yama, the god of death. Simply the boy goes to Yama. Say a boy of 7 years who had Shraddha and went to Yama. Unfortunately, he was not in station for 3 days. So he had to wait at the threshold of Yama for 3 days without food. Yama came, saw that a boy was waiting at the doorsteps and understood from his workers that he has been there for the past 3 days. He was really afraid. In fact, those who know God must not keep themselves hungry at anybody's house. That is as like as a hell, they say. In fact, that anger of those who keep hungry in somebody's house, the house will get burnt. So Yama was afraid. He washed the feet of the small boy and asked him for 3 boons. You have been waiting at my doorsteps for the past 3 days, and it is a great sin. So I will give you 3 boons for that. What do you want? First thing he asked was a worldly thing. If you send me back to my father, let him recognize me. That's what he asked. And added to that, Yama said, oh yes, it would happen. And he said, his father will have good sleep. Losing the son must not be a pain for him. So he said, second. So then he asked the second boon. The second boon is, you are Yama. You know what would happen to people when they die. You know the way to Swarga. You can teach me that mantra or that yajna by performing which I may go to heaven. Yama agreed. It was granted. What's the third boon you want to say? Dear Yama, some people say that after a man leaving his body, there is something that is going to be alive. Some people say nothing would be alive, the body is gone. I want to know the truth of death. I want to know whether there is anything in everybody which is to be known. He asked that question which an Indian seeker wants. Atmajnan, they say. A boy of 7 or 8 years old asking a question so strong. In fact, this is a question even the gods fear to ask. Gods find it difficult to understand. But a boy of 7 or 8 is asking this question. Yama wanted to tempt him. That's a very difficult question, boy. You can ask for any richness you want, or you can ask for kingdom, or you can ask for any other worldly glories. I can give you anything you ask except this. But the boy was not that easy to convince. If the one I asked is so good that you can give so many things for this one, I want that one more. Tell me what is the I in me, what's the I in everybody, what is that makes us exist. And then Yama begins to teach him. So what he asks is, some people say people are alive, some say they are not. What's that? So Yama goes on teaching him the yoga of understanding himself. In the same manner, other Upanishad, Isha, Kena, Kata, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitreya, Taitreya, Brihadaranyaka, Shvetashvata. There are 10 major Upanishads. The purpose of Upanishad is to show us what we are. In fact, they are called prasthana, means they are to show how to live. In our country too, if you ask any children, any Christian, what's your holy book? They definitely know Bible. Fine. I have great respect to Jesus as much as I have to my Krishna. If you ask a Muslim boy, he would say Quran. But if you ask an Indian boy, they would begin to murmur. They would say Veda, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and so on. But the thing is, there are these three simple ones, Upanishads, the 10 that I just named. The next ones are Brahma Sutras written by Badaraya. Brahma Sutras are in the cryptic form, not understandable to all. In fact, only Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhva are such great people could write about that. Not easy for us. And the next one happens to be the one which I am going to talk about, the Gita. And Gita, not taught in peaceful atmosphere like this. It was a great war for social justice. Pandavas were denied of not even a place on the top of the needle by Kauravas. Krishna had tried all means, Sama, Dana, Veda, Danda. That is, tried to compromise, tried to offer them whatever they wanted, tried to divide them, and last one was to punish. So, war did not come by itself. In fact, how could Indian philosophy teach war? The war is going on in every one of us, between dharma and adharma, good and evil, good and bad. That's the war he is referring to. So, that war was to begin. Arjuna was facing the Kauravas in the battlefield. Most of you know the story of it, so I need not go in length. Arjuna asked his Balaji, Krishna, who is the charioteer, in fact, my request to each one of you, make Krishna your charioteer, your director, so that your lives will become really relaxing, really achieving something, tension-free. In fact, Gita has all answers to all your questions. So, he asked Krishna to set his chariot in a position where he could see with whom he had to fight. He was not afraid till then. Krishna brought him to the chariot and asked Arjuna, look, these are the people with whom you have to fight. What is? Adya was really a threatening thing for him. It was Bhishma, his great granddad, and Drona, his teacher, who had made Arjuna the greatest warrior he has to fight against him. All his cousins, relatives, uncles, brothers, so on and so forth. When he looked at the people in front of him, he was taken aback. For the purpose of land, for the purpose of kingdom, is it good to kill such people? That question entered him so strongly, he became totally nervous. Could not stand. Even his dhanus, the bow, could not stand in his hand. It shivered and fell down. He sat at the feet of our Balaji, Krishna, not knowing what to do. In such a situation, Krishna gives him an advice. Altogether in 700 slokas, making Arjuna a representative, Krishna tells us or gives us a wonderful personality development training which was not seen in the world or which has not been given in such a beautiful way thereafter. So that is the third prasthana trip. Of the three, the easiest one happens to be Bhagavad Gita. There are mantras in every religion. Repeating of mantra is there in every religion. Say for example, we repeat the Gayatri. Gayatri is nothing but the sun god. What we pray in Gayatri is Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Beautiful. Let our intelligence grow. In fact, Krishna wanted an intelligent world, an active world. So, Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat means let our buddhis be enlightened. So mantras are there in every religion. Taking Bhagavad Gita as a mantra, in other mantras you only repeat the name. Say for example, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, whatever mantra you have been doing, they are mantras. But here is a mantra in Bhagavad Gita which is directly told by God Himself. All other Vedas were written by Rishis. They received it in their dhyana. But in our entire culture, religion, philosophy, there is only one thing which was directly told by God Himself to Arjuna, making Arjuna a representative. It has been told to the world around. Mantras are to be read in three ways. First one, listen to it. Shravana. There are three steps for every understanding of things. First, we listen. Second, manana. Think of it. Third one, nididhyasa. Put it into practice. Listen, understand, put it into practice. So there are three steps in which we can try to do this month. I am associated with a Swamiji called Virajeshwara, who had studied in America, who did his doctorate here in Rutgers University, and he had served in IBM here in America. You can meet him in the internet. If you give this address, Swami Virajeshwara, you will get it. So when I told that I have been doing Gita Parayan every day, he was so pleased and wanted me to read before him. And I read it before him. He was sitting in meditation. And after that he told me, Dhyanu Aitu Jnanu Aitu. It's dhyana, meditation, it's also knowledge. Read Gita every day. It is not only dhyana, it also makes jnana. In every shloka, at the end of every Bhagavad Gita chapter, you will see one interesting thing. Bhagavad Gita is Brahma Vidya. That means that which knowledge which gives you what yourself is. In fact, Ramana says, Ramana Maharshi, if you have, some of you have read, most of you have read, I believe, he makes a entire philosophy, very simple, know yourself. What's that I? The I you call in yourself. If you can know it, you know everything. In Upanishad also they ask the same question. Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvo vidam vijñātam bhavati. By knowing what, we know everything else. That's the question. So he said, dhyana and jnana both are. So in Bhagavad Gita, if you begin to read daily, it is Brahma Jnana, Brahma Vidya, and it is Yoga Shastra. Yoga is very popular in all parts of the country. In fact, yoga is not actually the physical exercises, but it must be something beyond that. Yoga is a way of living. Krishna says, Yoga karma sa kaushalam, and samatvam yoga uchyate. Yoga, Krishna says in two ways. The best way of doing work is karma. That is yoga. Even breathing comes in that. How you have to live, that's yoga. All that you work, all the work you do is yoga. The way you live is yoga. Not only sitting and practicing breathing. He says about breathing. Pranayama, parayana, it comes in some other chapter. In fact, it's a very simple thing, breathing exercise. I will tell you the highest secret of that breathing practice. Longer breathing animals live longer. Simple. Say for example, elephant, it can hold its breath for 5 to 6 minutes, so it can live minimum of 100 years. Tortoise can live in water for hours and can come out and live there. It can live to 400 to 500 years. Snakes, which have very long breath, live very long life. Cows, they have shorter breath, so live for 20 years. Dogs, very short breath, live short. So that pranayama is too simple. If you practice breathing long, you will get more oxygen, you will get more healing ability, and you will be fine. But for Krishna, yoga is not this. The way you lead the life, the way you lead the entire life is yoga. So Yoga Shastra and Upanishad. Upanishad means sitting at the feet of the teacher and learning. Upanishad, sitting at the teacher and learning is Upanishad. So Bhagavad Gita is Brahma Vidya, Upanishad and Yoga Shastra. At once you get the entire thing of Hindu religion, Hindu philosophy in one book, that is Bhagavad Gita. In fact, as I told you earlier, a wonderful personality development training. Arjuna, I told you, was quite depressed. Did not know what to do. He began to weep, but he fell at the feet of Krishna and then said, I am not going to fight, I am in great confusion, advise me. Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. So unless we surrender to God, God cannot come. If you surrender, immediately, surrender is a wonderful thing. I can give you an example of what that surrendering means. Ordinarily, we may say, oh God, help me. You may not do it. I generally give the example of two stories of what we mean by surrendering. Again, coming back to Mahabharata, Duryodhana wanted to insult Draupadi. He asked his brother Dushyasana to bring Draupadi and to undress her. And he begins the act. Suddenly, Draupadi remembers Krishna. So strong was the appeal. Most of you know the story. And the Akshaya sari came in so much, He could not, until he falls down, he could not understand. God's help comes in that place. In another, again from Bhagavata, there was a fight between a tortoise and an elephant. It went on for 100 years. So, no, tortoise, not tortoise, crocodile. It went on for 100 years and elephant was losing. Suddenly it picked a lotus, said, Lord Krishna, I am going to drown. It dropped, left all efforts. Suddenly chakra came. In fact, with chakra, I was watching Mahabharata on internet in my house in America. I just observed an interesting thing. When Krishna left his chakra once, there was blood on his finger. Draupadi was there in that situation. I don't remember which person was leaving that chakra to destroy. Draupadi was there. Suddenly, she felt that something happened to him. She tore a piece of saree and tied it round Krishna's fingers. And Krishna smilingly told, this will be suitably rewarded. This will be suitably rewarded, and he did reward. In fact, so what time do we need to read Bhagavad Gita? There is one Brahmananda's entire Bhagavad Gita shloka repetition in the internet. It takes 3 hours and 44 minutes to read each shloka, giving lot of time gap to one and the other. I happened to take 3 hours when I began, and later it came to 2 hours. Went on, it came to an hour and a half, 1 hour. Now, entire 18 chapters I can read silently every day in 45 to 50 minutes. Who can say I don't have 50 minutes in a day for spirituality? And Upanishad says, Swadhyaya pravachadam vyam na pramatitabhyam. You are in America, you have been doing really well, really well commercially. But there is also a life for you, a spiritual. If you can spare 1 hour every day for Bhagavad Gita, it will be the highest thing that you can do. Some people generally ask me, I also had asked this question, should we do it every day? Once I read, understand, once I read Gita and try to understand it, is it not sufficient? This is a question which I also had in my mind. But we have to eat every day, we cannot leave it. We have to take a bath every day, cannot leave it. We ought to sleep every day. If you leave it, the next day is gone. So everything, many of the things we do every day. Why not a bit of Swadhyaya? That's what it's called. Swadhyaya pravachanasgam na pravatitam. Swadhyaya means first reading. And pravachanasgam, you will get a highest responsibility when you read, when you begin to read Bhagavad Gita. It is such a big force in the world. You cannot help saying others, do it, it will help you. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if that drive was not there in me. I could have done it for myself every day and kept quiet. But when I came to America, I really first felt, as I have been doing classes in my own place, Shimoga, 30, 40 people every day, it will take 2.5 months to complete Bhagavad Gita from stanza 1 to stanza 700. But I felt, if I could make some of you come to the highest that we have got in our religion, If you can do it, if you begin to do it, you can't help telling it to others. That's how the religions start really, let me tell you. A Jesus Christ, when he sees God, he cannot help telling that there is a God. If rishis see there is a God, they cannot help. I have been associated with a spiritual leader called U.G. Krishnamurti, who is no more. He was a light by himself. Maybe you get him on internet again. U.G. Krishnamurti, a great man from Andhra Pradesh. But somehow in Switzerland he lost everything. He was working for Anubis and Theosophical Society, left it, and one day he got a question, why have I been talking about so many nonsense which I do not know at all? Then he was a nomad in Switzerland. A lady called Madame de Valentine had a dream, here is a fellow whom you have to take care of. And she took care of the man. He had the self-realization. You will not believe if I tell you, he was light by himself. If you go, plenty of people used to sit around him. He used to go around the world, not a Swami, and he never taught anyone. I have been associated with people like that. There is a thing which we have to know, that then he cannot help telling that there is an experience like this. When you read Bhagavad Gita every day, you cannot help saying, do it. So it will take you 1 hour or so. How long I can stop it? And tomorrow I will start from shlokas. Tomorrow also same time I hope. Same time for half an hour. So tomorrow I will tell you some of the shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, what they mean to us, what we are expected to do, and how it can shape our life. So thank you very much for listening.